Can we make roasted red pepper chaffles? Let's find out right after this. Welcome back to another Chaffle Recipe, everyone. My name's Jason. This is Just Jason Keto. As you saw from the intro, we're going to make chaffles with roasted red peppers. This is just, a few pieces of these jarred roasted red peppers that I picked up, and to these we're going to have 2 eggs because we've got a fair bit of volume today. I've got about 8 slices of pepperoni that I've cut up into smaller pieces here. I've got 2/3 of a cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. I've got 1/4 cup of crumbled feta cheese, and then I've just got 1/8 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. It's just a basic garlic powder here, just to add some seasoning. Seasonings, of course, are all optional and to your taste. Put more of something in, other seasoning, whatever you would like to have in these. I fully encourage everyone to make these your own. So let me get set up and we'll start mixing. Okay, so we have our 2 eggs beaten in a bowl here. Again, I'm using 2 eggs because we're adding quite a bit of other ingredients with the chaffles this week. Usually we just use 1. 2 eggs will give you a bigger mix, or a better mix when you're adding volume. So first thing we're going to do is add the mozzarella cheese in here. Now mozzarella cheese is typically what I like to use with these kind of chaffles because it doesn't add too much of its own flavor to the chaffles, but it does melt very, very well. So, adding a sharp cheddar or something in a chaffle like this could sort of overpower the other flavors we're trying to add to it. So that's why we're going with something a little more mild. So to that, we'll add our crumbled feta cheese here. Again, that was a 1/4 cup. Now this is going to add some nice saltiness to the mix. Now this is a suggestion from a viewer, Paula over at Paula and Jason's Homestead Adventure. I'll leave a link for their channel down in the description. But I asked a question in my community tab, what would you like to put with the roasted red peppers if you're making chaffles, and this was her suggestion. I do want to thank everyone that answered that question, and I will be getting to even more of the answers at some point. There was a lot of good ideas there. So that's mixed in. What we'll do now is we'll add our pepperoni slices here. Again, you don't need to add the pepperoni. I really do like pepperoni in my chaffles. Again, you could add more or less or none. This is just the suggestion that Paula gave me. So, like I say, I do like pepperoni in my chaffles. So, of course, I'm going to give it a try. Then we'll add our garlic powder here. Again, you could add some Italian seasoning or onion powder or, any other fresh herbs or spices. To your liking, of course, and I'm not going to add a lot of garlic powder because, again, I don't want to overpower what we're trying to do here. So that's all of that mixed together. So we're going to take the roasted red pepper pieces here. Now they came in, fairly large pieces, so I just cubed them up a bit so that they're easier to spread around in the mix. Now again, if you know anything about my recipe videos, this is the first time I'm making chaffles with roasted red peppers, so fingers crossed they turn out well. Again, I don't see why they wouldn't, but I figured I've thought about doing chaffles with this ingredient for quite a while, so here we are today making it happen. So that's the mix all ready to go. We'll get the dash minis warmed up and we'll start cooking these chaffles. Okay, so our dash minis are warmed up here. Now one last ingredient I'm going to use this week is just some shredded Parmesan cheese. Now we do this to make our chaffles nice and crispy. Again, totally optional. You don't have to do this. It's just something I like to do with my chaffles. Just put a little bit down on the bottom. And then we're going to start adding our roasted red pepper, feta, and pepperoni mix in here. We're just trying to get lots of the ingredients into each chaffle here. It's hard to say how many chaffles we're going to get in total out of the mix this week, but we'll see. We're going to get at least 3. So that's the first one. We'll get this next one going here. Lots of good pieces of roasted red pepper and pepperoni in each one of those. Spread that out a little bit, and then we're going to put a little bit more of this shredded Parmesan cheese on top, just to add some flavor and crispiness. And I can already see that we've probably put too much into the waffle iron, so we'll probably wind up with a bit of a mess, but we'll find out in 4 to 5 minutes. Okay, so it looks like our first 2 chaffles have cooked here. Nice and golden brown, smell really nice. So we're gonna get these out of the Dash Minis here and put them aside on a wire rack to cool just a little bit. There's the second one, because they're way too hot to try right now. And what we'll do is we'll get this last chaffle loaded up here. It's just gonna be, looks like it's just gonna be 3 chaffles this week. Get this last bit of mix in here. Get all the good bits out of your mix and into the waffle iron. Spread it out a little bit, and then we'll add this last bit of Parmesan cheese here. We'll close this up and we'll be right back to give these a try. Okay, so our roasted red pepper, pepperoni, and feta chaffles are all done here. As you can see, I got 3 nice chaffles out of it. Nice and golden brown, nice and crispy on the outside. Let's pull this apart, see what it looks like on the inside. Nice bit of a cheese pull there. As you can see, there's a piece of the roasted red pepper right there, and the pepperoni. So let's give these a try, see how they turned out. Yep, lots of good flavor in there. You can taste everything, the nice sweet red bell peppers, pepperoni, the cheese, the garlic powder. So yeah, these turned out really nice. Good chew to them, nice and crispy on the outside. Like I was saying earlier, I'm definitely looking forward to making more recipes with these roasted red peppers, and I'll be looking forward to trying all of the suggestions that my viewers gave me for them. So this will be a good thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you're enjoying the content. Give it a like, and we'll see you next week for another recipe. Keep on thriving, my friends.